Real estate agents are getting sued for texting potential clients. Watch now. This is Toole Time. I'm Tom Toole. She is Jess Lion, and
Hello.
We are talking about a couple interesting things happening today, both locally, real estate-wise, and then we got some motivation as well. So the big local news, and very local for us, is that Delco Christian, which is a private school of about 600 people in Newtown Square, 600 students, I should say, they are looking to build some athletic fields right on the edge of Newtown and Radnor Townships, and the neighbors are going bananas.
Bananas. They don't like it.
What do you think about all this?
I think that the real concerns that the neighbors are having is because it's a beautiful field right now. It's quiet, and they're talking about putting down like a huge turf field, some lights, open to 10 o'clock at night. And I think the big concerns are that they are going to be able to rent out the field to anybody else who wants to use it. So they have a huge concern with that. And then they have a concern with the traffic that it's going to cause. I really don't see the traffic from 40 extra cars and like running it out here and there for 2 hours being a huge issue, personally. But I think that, it is going to change their neighborhood. It's going to be a lot busier, a lot later. So I think they're worried about their peace. And I think that they do have a real concern. But I think it's going to bring a lot of, great things to their community. So they should embrace it. So I say embrace it.
So what I know here is that right now I went to a private school. I went to Devon Prep, so similar sort of school.
Yeah.
And right now these schools, there is a lot of pressure on them not to just compete on the academic level, but also on the athletic level. And these sort of facilities, I mean, look at Episcopal. They spent $200 million plus on what's bigger than a lot of colleges in the area, right off of 252 in Newtown Square. Malvern Prep, no different. Haverford School, some of these big money schools, and there's different tiers of private schools for sure in terms of how much it costs, what kind of donations they get. And I'm not here to talk about that, but I know there is pressure on these schools to have the right academic facilities. So I get where the school's coming from. What I liken this to is in my neighborhood in Ardmore, they just built the One Station Square, the Dranoff building, right? And that was fought by neighbors for about 7 or 8 years.
What were they saying?
They were saying there's not going to be enough parking. We don't want all
Same
these
issues.
extra people here. And now it's almost done because it got approved. I mean, they had like township meetings going till 3 in the morning. I mean, it was
Heated.
insane, very heated. And now that it's almost built, all the chatter on like the local Facebook sites and the local community sites next door is, wow, this is going to be really exciting. We got all this new stuff opening up. So
Interesting.
now different project for sure,
Yeah.
because that's retail, mixed use, apartments, and there's a parking garage there, so it eliminated the parking issue. And the township did a feasibility study on it. So a little different. What I will say is that there's also a need for some of these fields around here because a lot of these schools don't have places to like practice and play. I know we had nowhere to run our cross country meets or track meets when I was in high school. Not that again, it's so there is this pressure on there. What I also know is people move here for the schools. So while it's not a public school, and Marple Newtown's been doing the same. They've been trying to upgrade for years. So I mean, public schools are trying to do this too. So I don't see this changing too much, and this is why you have the meetings. Like, they're voicing their concern. That's fine. We'll see what the decision is.
I think they're going to get approved, and I think that, these people, you need to embrace change. I think that their concerns aren't going to be as big as they think they're going to be. So I think that, just let it happen.
And if they want to move, they can call us, and we can help them with that. So I'm with you on this one. I mean, there's a process for a reason. And everyone's voice is going to get heard. So while the neighbors are going crazy, I get it. There's also people that aren't there going crazy. And usually the people that agree, they don't show up at these meetings. So I think that's something a lot of people, I know first of all, I wouldn't go to any meeting like this ever. But if I did agree with it, I wouldn't be going to complain or support it. It's the complainers that show up. So I think that's something you need to, and that's any sort of public issue like this. So I hope it happens for the school. It's a good school. A very good friend of mine went there. He turned out pretty well. You know who you are if you're watching. So I'm with you, Jess.
Okay, cool.
So the second topic,
I like this one.
well, this is a little controversial here. So it's about the TCPA and texting. So the TCPA is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, and it regulates text messages. So what's going on is there is a lawsuit right now, and this was passed, the TCPA was passed in 1991 in response to consumer complaints alleging abusive telemarketing phone calls into private homes. And the Florida-based brokerage is currently defending itself against a class action lawsuit for the TCPA in federal court, alleging that the brokerage sent text messages without obtaining required consent. So, you want me to detail this a little more here before we get into it? I think it might be relevant.
If you want
Give us
to.
your take. Give us your take, and then I'll kind of back it up with some facts.
Okay. My take is that if you are kind of like cold texting these people for however way you're getting their number, then yes, I would be pissed myself. If I didn't give you my phone number, I don't want you to text me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of brokerages, they do have, you can register on our site. If you submit your information, like your phone number, your email, we'll be able to get in touch with you and help you with your home search. They're giving you their information. So yeah, a text, hi, this is Jess with Remax. I just saw that you were looking at properties. How can I help you? And if they immediately respond to me and say, stop, okay, stop. Now I do think that, they think it's a computer on the other end and not a real person.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'm like, I'm an actual person, and like trying to engage a little bit more in the conversation. But if they're like, please stop texting me, then yes, stop. But for the people who give you their information, which I don't know if that was the case in this court case, but I feel like they have no leg to stand on if they're giving you their phone number.
Yeah, so the court case, hasn't really been detailed. It's getting litigated right now. So what the TCPA does, it covers all the text messages sent using auto-dialing equipment, meaning equipment that can store and produce phone numbers to be called using random or a sequential number generator. So this is not, hey, I'm interested in this house on Main Street, here's my phone number, and then you call them and you send them a text. This is something that's a little different. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off. I wanted to say that, if you have a bunch of leads, in your system and you want to check in with them, you auto text them, but you do it personally. Like, hey, this is
But that's not an auto text if you're doing it personally, though. So I think you got to watch your language here.
Okay, so customize
You're
a
sending
mass
out
text.
texts. Yeah, you're sending out texts in
So is that
long
different
format.
than what they're doing here?
So this is using an auto dialer or equipment that will store the phone numbers and text them. So I know there's some agents, I'm not going to tell you who, and it's not us, that's for sure. They will text probate leads, meaning people's someone passed away and they send a mass text out to them. That's an outbound text. You didn't get permission to call those people. So what we do a lot of is that we get a lead from an online site, right? And we can't get them on the phone, so we send them a text. And texts get more responsiveness.
Everybody texts.
That's where this gets a little. You have to read into the regulations here a little differently. So they consider telemarketing text message or those made to solicit or encourage the purchase of, rental of, or investment in property, goods, or services. So obviously, we sell real estate. And they require the telemarketer to obtain prior written consent from those persons. So if someone's submitting their phone number on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, they're giving that consent. And they're also giving prior express consent, which is a non-telemarketing text message. And they can do that either verbally in writing or by providing a wireless phone number. So when that happens, it's a little different. But there are services out there where you can get a bot to text somebody. There's chat bots. There's all sorts of stuff. So this is going to be interesting to see how this gets ruled, because there are a lot of people I know for a fact where they make the outbound call where someone doesn't know who they are. They didn't submit their information, and that's not what we're doing here.
I would find that so annoying.
Well, and it's it's annoying. It's frustrating. There's a reason there's a lawsuit going on right now. So at the same time, I know that I'm not going to hesitate to reach out to someone that's got a real estate need.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line here, and it'll be interesting to see the details of this suit. What I know now is when someone submits their information, that's someone that would be in compliance here, and that's right from the video that was on the NAR website and everything else. And then they can revoke consent, like you said, when they text back the word stop. So people can respond and say stop, and then you just have to stop texting them. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
So at the same time, no one likes an aggressive agent until they have one. So this is going to be an interesting thing, the way this suit kind of flushes out here. Now, at the end of the video, they gave some advice, which I loved, which is don't let the TCPA or fear of litigation stop you from using text messaging to better your business, but be knowledgeable and compliant and build a compliant text messaging program so you can be successful. So I think that's great advice, is know the law, navigate it, and don't be afraid of it. It's much better to know what you're dealing with, and that way you can be compliant and still sell a lot of houses, which is the game plan, right?
So be respectful. People want you to stop, but try and help them out first.
Well, that's no different than like when someone calls me and doesn't leave a voicemail. Like, that drives me insane, and I'm not just going to call people back. I mean, so I don't think that's much different here. And realtors do that all the time. That's why we always leave voicemails, for example. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see how this goes. We'll have to keep you updated on this story because it's definitely developing.
Sounds good. We agree, I think.
I think 2 for 2 here. Cool. So bring it home with the motivation, Jess.
All right, so this is from Ghandi. If I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capacity to do it, even if I may not have it at the beginning. This speaks to me because sometimes there are things that I really don't think I can do, but I gave my word.
Like what?
Actually getting my real estate license and passing my test and becoming an agent, a successful agent. Like, that was a prime example. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't know the first step on how to do it, but I just started, and, look at me now. Here I am selling real estate. In other things as well.
A lot of real estate, but keep going.
Other things as well. I mean, typical stupid stuff around the house, like mounting our huge TV on the wall. I never thought I could do that, and I was just like, heck, I'm going to try. You start and you finish. That's something stupid.
Are you available for hire to do that? Because I know that's something I physically cannot do.
Really? Well, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. But no, this really does speak to me because I feel like even though you don't have maybe a plan necessarily in the beginning, if you just start, you'll be surprised at where you end up down the road. So just start.
So this to me, it was funny you brought this quote up because you usually send a couple things, and this one I was actually I had a conversation with some friends of mine. I'm going to pull up the text because it was really about the journey more so than here's your goal, because goals can be nonsense in a lot of cases. People come up with goals and they're so crazy. So these are some buddies of mine, and so goals are fake. The journey is all that matters. And then what we got kind of responded to was, we're far off of our goal. It's a big one, but I can see how we get there now, which talks about acquiring the capacity to do it. Mm-hmm. And we've made a lot of progress, and you're a different person that you are at the end versus the beginning. So it's
absolutely
funny that this came up because it's, and you have to learn how to do it. I mean, just because you say I'm going to go downhill skiing, right? You got to figure out how to do it. I mean, and then you have to learn how to do it. And then your body's got to have the muscle memory and everything else. So, and then you get better and better and better. And it's really about progress more than perfection. And when you have the capacity to do it, it can really make a big difference. So this is, look, health is an easy one to compare it to. Obviously, your business, whatever that may be, whether you're running like a water ice stand, or you're doing a clothing line, or you're doing what we do, or just being a better father or a better mother. It's these things happen because you learn, and then that's why usually the third kid turns out better than the first in a lot of cases.
I was listening to a podcast. It's How I Built This by NPR. And it's all about these entrepreneurs who have this idea and started, and they don't really realize that they are going to have a multi-million or billion-dollar business, and they don't know the path to get there, but they kind of just figure it out along the way. So you learn as you go.
Well, what that also speaks to as well, I heard this, and this was on, I listen to Howard Stern a lot, right? And that's my one kind of escape. And what he talked about is his creative meetings. And this was super interesting to me. It wasn't about all the dirty jokes that he tells, which are hysterical, but that's not the point. So in their creative meetings, they don't want any feedback on any idea whatsoever, because a bad idea, when you get talking about it and people come up with suggestions, can turn into some of the best ideas. And that's about the journey. And then all of a sudden, this horrible joke they thought of turns into something that's hysterical, and that's having the capacity to get it over the finish line. So, and really, finishing is the key. I mean, we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of people that start stuff, but if you're not finishing it, like that's who I want to roll with. That's who I want to spend my time with, is the people that come through and finish no matter what. And that's exactly what he's talking about here.
Yeah, good old Ghandi.
Did you know him? You sound like you're buddies.
I did, actually. No.
All right, we'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching.